Has normalizing sex work like OnlyFans been a benefit for women?
I mean, there clearly are some women on OnlyFans who make a lot of money from it. So there are some winners. I mean, they they are very unusual. Most women on OnlyFans probably make a loss in terms of the amount of time they have to spend because the Pareto distribution on OnlyFans is wild. And most of the women who do really well on it are already celebrities and already quite wealthy. So this idea that you can just be like, as long as you're sufficiently pretty, you log on and you're making a fortune is not true. And I'm sure has been deliberately whipped up, that idea, by OnlyFans, because they're the only people actually really profiting at the end of the day. I mean, I think the OnlyFans is not like street prostitution or brothel prostitution. Like, it's clearly not the same. It's pretty gross, and you will have men asking you to do things that really turn your stomach. But it's clearly not like physically dangerous. I think that the main risk of OnlyFans is your ability to have a long-term relationship afterwards, because you end up putting your images out in the world and you can't get them back, because that's the nature of the internet. And often OnlyFans creators get their images stolen, and so they'll be shared and they don't even get any money from it. And the risk is in the future that even though men don't always admit it, the sexual double standard is still actually really alive and well. So the sexual double standard being when men are kind of permitted to be a bit promiscuous, and that's okay socially, but women tend to be punished for promiscuity.
I think that OnlyFans goes beyond promiscuity. You know, the double standard didn't account. It's not men wanking on camera and then trying to find a wife and them saying, my friends shared something in a WhatsApp chat earlier on and that kind of looks a little bit like you. What about normalizing like love sex workers? Like sex workers you should be completely fine with your partner doing OnlyFans or perhaps even escorting.
I mean, crazy. What kind of, yeah. I mean, either, I think if a man is really comfortable with that, that's like a red flag to me, honestly. Like, again, it's an example of men suppressing their instincts, because the instinct towards jealousy is so strong, and again has such an obvious evolutionary origin to it. Because if you're putting loads of resources into raising children that you've had with this woman, you want to know they're yours. Like, that's mate guarding is what the biologists call it. And it's so common that I think it's considered to be a human universal. And yeah, like there are loads of sort of unwelcome phenomena that come from that. You know, jealousy is often the motive behind domestic violence, for instance. It's like, you know, you mentioned the naturalistic fallacy. Like, the fact that it's natural doesn't mean it's necessarily good, but it does also mean that trying to completely override it is probably not going to work. Like, you have to find a way of accommodating your instincts. You can't just try and suppress them and try and like rewrite the human blueprint.
Well, that's where I think it's not men that are encouraging women to do OnlyFans. I don't see men on the internet saying that you should go and that you, girl, should ditch your job and go and do it. The only people online saying sex work is real work seems to be women. Yes, yeah. Men are the ones that are paying for their images once they're in the game. But I think that's because once women cross that threshold and become a sex worker or whatever, they're almost kind of not subhuman, but they're in a different category, right? And it's like, oh, well, they're doing it. I didn't get them into it, so I'm just going to continue to fund them. But if you were to say to most men, I think, would you advise that pretty girl to get into OnlyFans so that you can see her nudes? Most of them would say, probably not. Probably not. But almost every healthy man would say no, right? They'd say, no, I'll try and go out with her, or maybe she should just go and enjoy her life or do whatever. But once they're in the game, that's what's going to happen. But you have this very bizarre sort of cartel, I don't know, it's like not self-oppression, but like self-capitalization from women, of women, encouraging other women to go and do the game, despite the fact that the chances of you making money on OnlyFans is minusculely low when it comes to actually making the tens of thousands of dollars a day that the biggest creators make. And yeah, I mean, even if you were able to have an unbelievably secure OnlyFans that was never able to leak your photos online, you have two choices for the remainder of your life when you get into talking to a new partner. You can either tell them the truth, and regardless of how comfortable that guy is with his sexuality, finding out that his missus, forget body count, even if you've only slept with one other person, but that was something that you did, you can't like left brain your way out of thinking that is, oh God, well, if she did that in the past, does this mean that she's maybe she's a risk for promiscuity in the future? Like, the cuck radar is so hyper attuned for men, which is why we get more jealous. Or the other one is to lie to him.
Cuck radar is interesting phrase.
Good coinage game.
Because I have used I don't write it in the book, but I've like talked about it on Twitter, nonce radar, which I think that women have really strongly. I mean, I think men do as well, but I think women in particular have a really strong, like, I think it's partly a sexual disgust thing. It's that feeling of like, this guy is creepy. And I think it's like female intuition, right? And I think it's probably partly coming from wanting to protect yourself. It's also partly wanting to protect your children. You've got that, like, this guy's bad news.
Yeah, if I'm going to sleep with him, what's he going to do to the kids perhaps down the line? I got to tell you about this meme that I saw. So Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad, a guy who has incredibly conservative views about this stuff, but aligns completely with what we're saying here. He posted a meme the other day, and it had a girl from OnlyFans in like a bikini or lingerie or whatever, sort of dancing away on one side, and it had Michael Scott from The Office on the other, sort of looking strangely. And the text said, "We call it female empowerment, and they will dance naked for the price of a cheeseburger." What's happening, people? If you enjoyed that, then press here for the full unedited episode. And don't forget to subscribe. Peace.